Hello, I'm James Duguid and I'm running for the Lib Dems in this by-election which is taking place for Hampshire County Council on October the 22nd. I do feel very strongly about social care. There have been huge central government cutbacks in this area and that has really adversely affected care in the community. However, in these circumstances, it's really important that the Hampshire County Council budget is used totally effectively with every penny counting, and you don't have the absurd situation we've got at the moment where people are obliged to stay in hospital because adequate social care facilities aren't available. This creates major congestion in the hospitals. There's an example of this I can tell you where a lady I was speaking to yesterday, just a few grab handles and a few things to help her husband who has some disabilities on coming out of hospital. If these had been done really quickly, then this chap could have been out of hospital a month earlier. He would have been much happier, and more importantly, perhaps even than that, is that the space would be available in the hospital for other people to use. Other county councils are smarter, doing more joined-up writing than Hampshire County Council in this area. Public transport is another big responsibility of the County Council in terms of roads, in terms of maintenance, and in terms of the overall structure within which our buses operate around Hampshire and into the towns. And we're getting this dramatically wrong. There's a need for small feeder buses which are eco-friendly to be in areas like Chandlers Ford and Hiltingbury. Obviously you need a horse for the course. You need a big bus for a big main route into Winchester or Southampton, but you need user-friendly, disabled access friendly, small eco-buses which can meet the requirements of these communities. These big buses which are belching out fumes are really bad news for our community and society now that we know particularly how bad the diesel particulates are in terms of health damage. And there is no reason why we couldn't get smaller eco-buses with a bit of foresight and a bit of planning which would be per cost per mile less expensive to run per passenger than these enormous buses which typically have on them during the daytime 5-6 people on a bus that's designed to take 40 or 45 people. Cycling is also another hugely beneficial area of transportation policy, because if we manage to get more people onto cycles by dedicated cycle paths, what we'll achieve with that is less road congestion. But we'll also get our young people especially more healthy, more active, and they'll be doing something which actually is on the whole in most of the year quite good fun. So my dream, my aspiration, my belief is that we could get from Hiltingbury a cycle path built to Hursley, which is a dedicated cycle path, opening up the possibility of getting to Farley Mount and indeed even beyond Winchester. That is something which is so blindingly obviously a benefit to the community. We should get Hampshire County Council being gutsy, being aggressive with landowners in order to make sure this happens. That is a benefit which will be for generations to come. It's also important that we improve the cycleway down to Southampton from Chandlers Ford, and that is having some consultation on improvements going on right now. And when that is executed, that will be a major benefit for commuters who choose to use this very economic form of transport to get about the county. How we run efficiently our local services is key to delivering value for money for the consumer. I believe Eastleigh Borough Council, which the Lib Dems have been running for a number of years now, has been a beacon to other local authorities. It has excellent eco-credentials. It has excellent customer service orientation and focus. It wins awards time after time for street cleaning, for the way in which the incineration and refuse service is collected. It really is a first-class authority. And one thing it's been really smart about is in using investment income. There's been discussions about the Aegis Bowl and the commitment to generate more jobs, to regenerate the local community, to make this more of a tourist attraction. But that's just one example. Eastleigh Borough Council has, on many, many occasions, made strategic investments which have helped the community and provided a good, steady revenue flow. And this revenue flow, which comes largely inflation-proof, because as rents go up, so does the income go up, has enabled Eastleigh Borough Council to hold the rates down. And it's efficient, and it's smart, and everyone's a winner. Contrast that with the approach of Hampshire County Council, which is sitting on very substantially more reserves in cash than it needs to, getting very low interests in banks and languishing, and doing very little of this innovative, smart investment to benefit the community. This has been, of course, a Tory stronghold, Hampshire County Council, for decades now, and it is not as nimble-footed, it is not as sharp in these areas of business efficiency as Eastleigh Borough Council have proven to be. Yes, I was delighted to be elected onto the Parish Council some 2 years ago, and in the time that I've been on, I think we have turned it into a more purposeful and less partisan group of individuals whose intent and meaning is to serve the local community and serve it well. I do think that there are things that we are doing smarter now. I think our interface with Eastleigh Borough Council is better than it used to be. I think the fact that Eastleigh Borough Council have provided 50% of the funding for the Friarn extension rebuild, or really creation of a new Friarn building, and provided 100% of the money for the refurbishment of the tennis courts in Hiltingbury is a testimony to these two authorities now working more in partnership than the relationship they appeared to have when I first joined the Parish Council. I was delighted to be elected the vice chairman of it in the local round of selections which went on in May this year. And I do have a couple of misgivings, the first of which is that I thought the increase in the charge, what we used to know as council tax or service charge, specifically for the parish council precept, went up by over 50%. I voted against that. And the reason that I voted against it was because I believe that it was based on some very pessimistic assumptions about the revenue that we could generate from this lovely new building that we have in Friarn. And we really should do more. That becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you say we're not going to get the revenue, you can be pretty darn certain we won't get the revenue. In contrast to that, the tennis courts refurbishment, 100% paid for, as I said, by Eastleigh, should remain a free service for all. And there are moves afoot to make some charge for the use of some of the courts some of the time, which I totally oppose. We should have a booking system so that people can get on and play on those courts at a time which is convenient to them, and people should pay for that privilege. But to pay for the use of the courts is a bad mistake, because we've known people who've lived locally, played the odd game on those courts, kicked about, who've become actually junior Hampshire players and have provided them with a skill for the rest of their lives. It's not just juniors. I'm also passionate about seniors. You may have detected I am one, being able to use these facilities and courts. For our seniors to stay healthy, to enjoy good outdoor exercise is very important indeed. As I walk around our community, people often ask me about what I've done in business. And I've been the Human Resources Director of a significant cruise line and indeed a lot of other human resources jobs and engineering, sometimes called human resources, sometimes called personnel management. And those jobs have all been great fun, but more importantly has been creating jobs, creating real wealth for me. And for an example of that is perhaps my proudest moment of taking a cruise ship, which needed a lot of attention in the cruise business. I was managing director of the company at the time, taking her to a redundant shipyard facility in the UK, recruiting 300, 400 people and spending a huge amount of money on this ship. That ship is trading very happily with passengers who've been delighted by the level of service and commitment and what we created with that cruise ship. I think my most fun job probably is the time some years ago now where I was the project director for building 200 rally cars for Ford Motor Company, the RS200. That did seem to be mission impossible on day one, using advanced fibres, Kevlars, carbon fibre, as well as normal polyester resins and these kind of things. But we had an incredible team spirit, and Ford were totally delighted with our performance, on budget, on time, and they had their fun car to play about. Maybe that's boys with their toys, but that was a very much fun experience. So, the 22nd of October is going to be upon us before we know what's happened. And it's really important people get out and vote. We need local democracy to function. It's important for national democracy as well as for local matters. And I think actually this election is an opportunity to send a message further afield that the severity of the cuts that are going on, the damage that's being done to the community, is creating a situation where we have what was called by John K. Galbraith many, many years ago, private affluence and public squalor. We're not there yet, but this is the direction of travel if we can't make sure that we have good county council services. Thank you.